And so, what other types of alternative investments do we usually overlook? Because we talked about vinyl, we talked about vacation rentals, we talked about websites. What other things are we missing?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I mean, so artwork comes to mind as one of the kind of older like alternatives. Wine is doing extremely well, by the way. Both artwork and wine are holding up really well in the with the current downturn, which is fascinating. Rare books, cars, coins, and currencies, stuff like comic books. Farmland is huge right now. And then there's like yield producing investments, stuff like, debt financing, litigation finance, right? So,
Litigation finance. What is that, man?
yeah.
What's that about?
So litigation finance is really under discussed. It's pretty fascinating too. I mean, basically, think of it like this, right? Like anytime there's a lawsuit, it costs money to bring a lawsuit to life, right? Like it's lawyers aren't cheap. And so how do you pay for that, as a plaintiff, right? Well, there's a lot of options. A, you can just have the money. B, you put it on a credit card. C, D, and E, there's a whole bunch of other options. One of those options is you basically just get financing for your lawsuit. So there are funds now and pools of funds that basically they'll finance the lawsuit for you. And if you win, you share a slice of the winnings with the investors. So it's kind of like it's risky. It's kind of like
Yeah,
venture
that's
capital in
very
a
risky.
way.
That's very risky. Yeah.
It is if you just do one lawsuit, but if you fund I mean, if you're throwing money into a pool, and that pool, funds, 100, 200 lawsuits a year, the hit rate on the wins will, make up for the losses, right? So
Wow,
I mean,
that's
there's no
brilliant,
guarantees in
brilliant.
life,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's the idea. That's kind of how
yeah.
that works. So I mean, yeah, that's an interesting option. Yeah, I mean, everything's, collectibles, sneakers, sports cards, memorabilia, watches. There's so much out there right now. There's markets in everything. It's like we like to say, and that's what we explore.
And so you're basically what you're doing is you're exploring all these ideas, and then you are so. What's the? I mean, obviously you're sharing this with your audience, but do the people invest into your company? Is the company that you're building? Are you building like a fund for all of these types of investments? Is that kind of what you're
We
trying to
Yeah,
put together?
yeah, that's it. So we do have a fund. We have a fund. Our first one launched about 9 months ago, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we basically we go out, we learn about these new markets, we learn about the investable alternative opportunities, and then we find something really, really good. That's when we make an investment in ourselves. So like we've bought for our fund, we've bought rare comic books, we've bought again vinyl records. We got a copy of the White Album, the Beatles' White Album, that was owned by John Lennon. We got that at auction, which was phenomenal for a music fan like me. That was like huge, but it's also like severely undervalued, and it's going to be worth a lot more in 10 years. We're hoping, So we've bought our first. We made our first investment in tequila. So we bought 6 barrels of tequila down in Jalisco, Mexico, and we're going to age those for 3 years and then sell them after 3 years once they're extra anejo and the value goes up. We like tequila because it has the same kind of appreciation properties as wine and whiskey, but it doesn't require as long to mature. So yeah, 3 years will do it, right? And yeah, that's pretty compelling to us. We've made investments in British modern artwork. There's all sorts of think of us
So
as
then
like
do
an
you?
alternative investing hedge fund, basically.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. And so, but do you as far as like what do you like? Let's just say you buy a comic book, pay
Yeah,
$100,000 for a comic book or something like that,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
so what do you do with the comic book? Where do you put it, man?
Oh, we don't read it, unfortunately. So what
Exactly. Probably
you want to know
not.
something? Like I've never, of all the stuff we've bought, I've never actually touched or seen any of it in person, which is
Really,
crazy.
that's
But
unbelievable.
that's how it goes. So there's a whole sub economy out there for like vaulting, storing, insuring these assets. And so like the artwork sitting in a gallery in London, the tequila is still down in Mexico, the comic book sitting in a warehouse in Florida, insured, vaulted. So I mean, it's all over the place. There's a whole sub economy now that can help you out with that. But yeah, it's not like sitting in my office or anything like that. I wish that'd be pretty cool, but yeah, no.
That's pretty fascinating, man. That's a pretty neat thing that you're doing here. And so what I mean, as far as as we kind of start wrapping things up, give us some tips, man, on how, because like when I look at you and I go, okay, young guy, successful, building a fund. I mean, you got tons of knowledge on a lot of these different areas, traveled the world. You're living in Australia right now. And so the question is how do you stay mentally tough, man? I mean, you got to be mentally tough to be able to do what you're doing. And also, like, you're a risk taker. There's no question. You are a risk taker because you went for it, came an entrepreneur, and you're winning at it, man. So how do
Yeah,
people stay mentally tough?
honestly, man, you know what I recently started doing? I recently made a decision to just take Fridays off for the foreseeable future. That's it. Like I've always just like thought like I'm going to burn out at some point if I'm not careful. And you talked earlier about passivity, and like I agree. Like you want eventually to just blend your time into a state where it's completely passive. You don't have to work at all. I have too much drive right now to do that, but to do that fully. But I've made the decision that in order to stay mentally fit, what I should start doing is start working, making real efforts to get away from the gas pedal on all the time. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like it's not normal for a CEO to say this, but like, yeah, I mean, I take Fridays off, every single one. So that's how I do it. Everyone's different,
And
some
what do you do on
people.
Friday, man? What do you do on Friday? What do you
You want to
do?
know, man?
Yeah, I want to know.
I ride my bike and I go shopping for vinyl records and fun
Awesome, awesome.
collectibles in Melbourne, and
Yeah, see, you're not
it
even
just.
off, dude. You're not even off, man. You're looking for vinyl records. That's not a day off, bro. It doesn't count,
Well,
man.
I don't
So
check email. That's the key.
okay.
That's the
Oh,
key.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. But no, I look, I mean, the truth is that I think we all want a life. And this is why I think that, my podcast, my websites, my Instagram, my YouTubes, right, whatever. I think that it's hit a little chord. We just came out with a book not too long ago, Wealth on the Beach, and it's done very well on Amazon and through our website, and I feel like this is what so many people want, but they don't know how to get there. And so it's kind of like, I mean, and I'm not telling people to invest into your company or invest into my company or anybody. I'm just saying that to everybody that's watching, listening, you got to find something that's going to bring you passivity in your direction, because in your income, because the truth is we all want to do what you're doing on Friday. We all want to do that every day. I know that
Oh
we
yeah.
want to do that every day.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
Now we want to do that every day, but we can't right now. And I get that. And then also too, some of our ambition levels are more like, I could have made millions more. I was telling somebody yesterday, I'm like, I could have made multi-millions of millions of dollars more had I continued to work really hard. Like I worked hard for that 7-8 years, and then I stopped really, really, I mean, I didn't just take Fridays off. I took Monday through Fridays off. You know what I mean? I worked a
Yeah.
couple of days a week and maybe a couple of hours in those days of the week. And so my income is a lot less than it could have been today.
Right.
But to me, I look at my experiences and my memories and everything. So I guess my point to all this is not to just say, oh, that's great for me. I'm telling everybody that, look, there are ways to do it. And I don't know, maybe you hook up with Stefan and have a conversation, or you call me, or you talk to one of my agents, or we, whatever it is, you got to find something out there.
Yeah.
That's going to give you an option. And this is another reason why, is because we don't know what's going to happen to the wine market. We don't know what's going to happen to any market, the real estate market, the whatever. And you got to have some sort of income that's coming in that's recession proof. And And you got to find that. I mean, for me, I mean, and I'm sure there's lots of different recession-proof businesses. For me, it was the insurance business has always been recession-proof for me throughout any, economy. Insurance has been very, very stable. Again, it could be the wine market, or could be the watches market, or the books market. Maybe these things have been stable over time. We got to find those kind of things and then run with it. And then the last thing I'll just throwing in my 2 cents here is that you got to find one thing and you need to make it your life's work. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people forget that, we could
Yeah.
be doing 1,000 different things. You find one thing, you go head
Yeah.
over heels in that one thing. That's how people become successful in anything. Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.